After talking about all the tools and modifiers to change the basic shapes, let's see how we can use all of it to draw more complex and advanced shapes. These shapes will require the use of Boolean modifiers, transformation tools, and so on. At the same time, we're going to talk about 3D projections and how we can draw 3D objects from 2D projections and vice versa. So let's start by creating some advanced shapes using the front section or a 2D projection drawing. Let's say we have this block of wood and we want to sculpt it into a 3D object. The front view of this object is an L shape, but not all the way. We can see this from the drawing that the box is still visible at the end, kind of behind the L shape. So it's basically a cut down box to a shape of an L but with a wall behind it. So let's start off by drawing the L shape on the side of the box. It doesn't matter what side we start on, because we can replicate it around the box by using diagonals. Once I draw the first part of the L shape, I can replicate it on a diagonal and get the other side of the shape. After that, I can project it to the other side using the opposite vanishing point. And then another diagonal to get the other part of the L on the other side of the box. Now that I have both sides, I can connect them on the top face of the box to get the same L shape on the top. I'm basically done here. All I have to do now is to draw the 3D shape by connecting between the 3 L shapes and the rest of the box. Finally, I add the interior lines for the box to make it easier to understand using the sketch lines underneath it. And this is it, a 3D object made out of a 2D projection. Very easily done. Let's do another one, now with an upside down U shape. First, I will decide the depth of the shape and make it smaller than the whole box. Then I copy this distance to the other side using the vanishing point. I can replicate the same distance to the front face by picking the same distance of the depth to the other side. From there, I draw a vertical line to segment the face, and then use a diagonal to replicate the same distance inside of the face all around. Finally, I draw the 3D object using clear lines and add the depth of the far side by connecting the bottom of the depth line to the vanishing point. And this is the final shape. Let's do more examples. This time we have a small U shape with another rectangle on top of the arms and a background larger rectangle. So we have two levels here. We can't tell how far they are without another 2D projection for the top or the side, so we'll just guesstimate the depth of it. We can start first with the smaller U shape in the front and draw it all the way to the back. Let's say the smaller U shape is about halfway down. So we start with that and decide the depth of the U shape, then extend it toward the diagonals to rotate the distance around the face of the box. Once I have the front shape, I can project it back using the vanishing point to get the U shape going all the way to the back. To find the bottom of the U shape, I can extend it to the side of the box and to the back using the vanishing points. Once I have the small U shape done, I can decide where the larger shape sits and at what depth. So let's say it's the same distance from the back as the width of the smaller U shape. I can use the diagonals to rotate the line from the U shape upward and draw the back shape with it. Then we move it through the top face and back down at the same distance of the smaller U. Now back to the other side and we do the same there to get the rest of the background U shape. Let's draw the full shape now to see how the final shape will look like. Finally, we add the back lines for the far side and we are done. So this is how it would look like in 3D. We would have more information if we had 2 or 3 projections of the shape, but with one projection you will have to guess the depth of certain detail. But the shapes are getting more and more complicated, so let's keep going. Now we have a similar shape to the first one, but with the top of the L shape not as a straight line. It's more of a slope. So let's see how we can do this one. Let's first decide the width of the L shape and rotate it around the box using diagonals. Now we have the L shape all around. We can draw the straight parts of it first. Then we draw a bit of the slope from the top of the box to the raised bed of the box. Let's clean up the lines a bit and draw it in black. So even though it looks straight in the projection, it had more details in the 3D object. That's why more projections view will help in adding more details, something we will talk about in the next example. Let's now draw 2 projections for the next 3D object. The top one is the front projection of the box and the bottom is the side projection of the box. The sizes of the drawing is not accurate here, but we will fix it in later examples when we have to do it the other way around. But the point here is that we have a hole in the front and a U shape on the side. So let's first start with the hole in the center. We draw the diagonals and decide how big the hole is first. Next, let's draw the U shape. In this example, I decided to make it an equal U shape, meaning the face of the box is divided into 3 equal parts and 2 of them will be the arms of the U shape. So I draw a horizontal line and divide it into 3 equal parts and project it to a random measuring point going through and dividing the bottom edge of the side face of the box. Then I add the verticals to divide the face itself. Now I can use the hole to draw the bottom bridge of the U shape. I didn't have to do that, but it will just look better being on the same level of the hole. Let's now draw the whole thing and see what we got. First, I draw the front face with the hole inside. Next, I draw the U shape and extend it to the other side. We can know if the hole goes all the way to the other side since we don't have enough information without the third top projection of the shape. But let's go without the hole at the other end. And this is the final shape. Looking good. Let's do another example. The front projection of this shape is a U shape with a platform in front and an L shape on the side projection. So let's start with the L shape first. I choose first where the start of the L would be and then rotate it around the box using the perspective lines and diagonals. I will use the same width for the U pillars and the platform in the front. Then I will use the same distance for each of the pillars using the diagonals on the top. Now that we have all the guidelines, let's add some thicker lines to see what we are dealing with and what lines we are still missing. Basically, it's done now. Just for fun, let's add a hole in the platform in the middle in between the pillars. So we find the center using the diagonals, and then use the space in between the pillars to draw a rectangle for the ellipse to level. Maybe make the ellipse a bit bigger. Let's add now two more on top of the pillars. And finally, we add more line weight on top. You can do as much iteration and addition to these shapes. Just have fun drawing them and adding to them, and bit by bit you will be able to draw more and more complicated shapes, from props to figures, all the way to a full scene. Let's do another one with a random shape in the front and an L shape in the back. Let's start with the easy part first, deciding the L shape size and drawing the platform in the front. For the half octagon in the back, we first set the height of the straight edge of the center of the back side of the box. Then divide each half into another two halves, ending with 4 quarters in total. Then we project the center of these quarters toward the top edge and then connect in between the dots. The width of this new face will be decided by the L shape on the side. And this is basically it. But let's make it a bit more complicated and smooth out the sharp edge of the platform. To do that, we set the area we want to smooth and then rotate it to the other side using a diagonal. Then we project it downward and draw the smoother line in between both sides. Again, just for fun, let's add a hole in the center of the platform and use the smooth areas as a guide for the placement. We add the ellipse for the opening and guesstimate the end of the hole just to see how much of the ellipse will show in the hole. And then we delete the rest. Now all I have to do is to add the final line weight and finish it up. And this is it, another advanced shape done. Let's do one final one, but we use every technique on it and make sure it's as complicated as possible. This time we will use a wider box, and instead of side and front projections, we will use top and side projection just to add different situation to the mix. Okay, let's first study the shape. From the side we have like a shoe shape, with a slope in the front and half a circle in the back. From the top we have 3 levels, the front platform all the way to the back, the U shape on the right, and a wall in the back to the left, with a hole in the front. So let's first start with the easy part, the platform. Since we don't have an exact measurement, let's decide the height of the platform and rotate it around the box. For the space in front of the U shape, I will use the same distance we used for the platform. So I use diagonals to copy the space upward and to the back of the box. To find the line in between the U shape and the back wall, I will use diagonals on the projection itself to see how far exactly is this division in comparison to the center, just to make sure my guess is a bit more accurate. So I add the diagonals to my 3D box and guesstimate the distance to the left where the wall starts and the U shape ends. From there I extend the division all the way back and draw the start of the U shape box. Now we have another bounding box for the interior part of the object. The lines are getting a bit busy, so let's clear up the lines and leave only the bounding box. For the back wall, we can see from the side view that it's actually a slope. So I will use the same height of the platform as a depth for the back slope. I can do that by drawing the diagonals and rotating the distance toward the back of the box. From there I simply connect the slope from the edge of the platform all the way to the top edge of the U-shaped bounding box, just like we saw in the side view. Now to the hard part, adding a half circle boolean to the U-shape. So let's first draw the width of the U-shaped bridge by deciding one side and rotating it to the other side using diagonals. Now that we have the U-shape, let's find the center of this area and the center of the U-shape. Let's zoom in a bit because this is a complex part of the drawing. The half circle doesn't start from the bottom of the U-shape, but halfway up. So let's divide the area in the middle into two halves and then duplicate one half upward above the bounding box. The reason I'm doing this is because when I draw the ellipse, it will only be one half under the edge and the other half is above it. Now that we have the rectangle, we draw the ellipse with the center being the top edge of the bounding box. I only need a half of the circle, so let's delete the top half now. As we see in the top view, I extend the edge of the U-shape backward, along with the bounding box of the ellipse. I accidentally deleted the bounding box for the ellipse, so let's duplicate half of the area in the back again to find the bounding box for the ellipse, all the way in the back. Now that we have both the front and the back side of the boolean, I can connect in between and delete the areas hidden by the edge of the U-shape. Let's see what we got so far. So let's add a thicker line and draw the whole shape we got so far. Let's clean up the foundation lines now. We only need the new shape for now. I add a few lines for the boolean shape to make it clear that it's a smooth hole all the way to the back. Finally, the last thing we have to add is the hole in the front of the slot. Since we don't have the exact location, let's guesstimate an area for the hole in the center of the platform in front of the slot. Finally, let's add some lines there and turn it all into a black line. And this is it, all done. It took us 25 lessons to go from drawing boxes in perspective to now drawing complicated shapes fully done in perspective. We are building things up bit by bit toward more and more complex shapes. So if you find any of this a bit more advanced, please go back and do more exercises to the previous lessons before moving on to the next one. It will only get more and more complicated from here on. So be ready and don't rush it, take it step by step. That's how the lessons were made. They are made to take you from the absolute beginning all the way to the finish line, or at least to the end of my knowledge. There are still endless miles and miles ahead of what I know. I can only take you as far as my limited knowledge in art. So try to practice these complex shapes. Search for simple engineering parts or blocks online and try to do ones you don't see here. And try to take it easy step by step until you are able to go from simple shapes to more complex ones. In the next lesson, we will do the opposite of what we did today by extracting projection planes from existing 3D objects and vice versa. We will also draw our first piece of structure, a staircase. It will be a very exciting lesson. If you like this lesson, please feel free to leave a like. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section and I will do my best to answer them as soon as possible. To stay notified for future lessons, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.